a competitive housing market, buyers are often offering way over asking price in order to win the house that they want, but there are several ways to make your offers stronger without increasing purchase price, and I'm going to share them with you. Number one is to shorten the inspection period. So typically in a balanced market, the inspection period is 5 to 10 days, but in a competitive market, you're going to want to shorten that down to 3, maybe even 2 days. Just make sure you have enough time to get the inspector out there, for them to submit the report, for you to review it, and to submit any requests to the sellers if you have any. Shortening the inspection period tells the sellers that you're going to be moving quickly through this, that they only have to, that it's not going to be like a prolonged process. You're going to make a decision and move on to the next step. Number two is to include that you're only going to negotiate on items projected to cost over X amount of dollars. That can be projected to cost over $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000, whatever you're comfortable with, and kind of base it on the competition as well. So this is going to tell the seller that you're not going to submit a laundry list of items that you want repaired or credits that you want. You're only going to negotiate on big ticket items projected to cost over whatever that amount is. So before I move on to the next thing, I'm going to give you kind of a brief overview of what earnest money is, because that comes into play a little bit later. So earnest money is money that you submit with an accepted offer. And this money is forfeited to the seller if you breach the contract in any way. However, you have several what they're called contingencies that protect you so that you get your earnest money back if you run into issues with any of these things. There's an inspection contingency, an appraisal contingency, and a financing contingency. So say you were to lose your job, your financing contingency would kick in and you would get your earnest money back. If you have an inspection and it's like a really bad inspection, you want to pull out, you get your earnest money back. So you get the idea. I just need to let you know what that is before I tell you about the next thing. Number three is to waive your inspection. Now hear me out, I never tell anybody to waive their inspection. I think that's a terrible idea, but there's a way to waive your inspection while still getting an inspection, and that's by getting it before you submit your offer. Now, the listing agent and the seller have to agree to let you do this, but by doing it this way, you can have an inspector out there, you can get the report, you can review it, and then you know exactly what you're getting yourself into before you submit your offer with the waived inspection. The downside to that is that your offer may not be accepted, so you could be out the $500 to $700 or whatever it costs for you to get the inspection in the first place. Number four is for those who are using FHA or VA loans, and that's because those loans have more requirements, like you have to have handrails, you can't have chipping paint, there's several other things. I'm not going to go into details about everything. But if you are using an FHA or VA loan, something you could do to make your offer stronger is adding into the contract that you agree to pay for any of the required repairs that come back. The sellers want to pay as little as possible for any repairs, so if you agree to pay for them, hopefully they'll feel a little bit more comfortable accepting an FHA or VA loan. Number five is to increase your earnest money. So sellers like to see at least 1%, but if you want to make your offer stronger, you can make that 2% or 3%. Or anything that you have the ability to do. On top of that, you can make your earnest money non-refundable. Now, this is one of those things where I'm like, I'd never recommend it to anybody, but if you have the financial ability, like you're okay losing that earnest money, then that is another way you can make your offer stronger. So by making your earnest money non-refundable, that means that no matter what happens in the contract, you're agreeing that if you do not close on that house, they get to keep that money regardless. So, of course, if you're limited on funds, you don't want to do that. If the only way that you want to do this, if you're like, I love this house, I really, really want this house, and even if I lose $5,000, I'll be okay with it, then it's something to consider. But only do that under very rare circumstances. Number six is to have your agent figure out what the seller's ideal closing date is, and then add that to your purchase agreement. But to make it even better, you can offer to allow the sellers to stay in there for 48 hours after close, because normally they have to have all their stuff out, everything needs to be moved either on a truck or at their new house before the buyer's final walkthrough. So if you offer them 48 hours after, it's going to make your offer stronger because it's going to relieve a lot of stress from their situation. You can take that even a step farther and have your agent ask if they need a rent back. So essentially, you would close on the house, you would be the owners, and you would rent it back to them You can rent it back to them for free if it's really competitive, or you can rent it back to them at a cost. And sometimes sellers need a little bit more time to get out because they need the funds from the sale in order to close on the next house, and then they gotta get everything moved. So sometimes having a rent back will again make the situation for the seller a lot less stressful and therefore making your offer stronger. Number 7 is to offer to pay for a home warranty that covers you and the seller. So this is a good thing because I can't tell you how many times something has broken while we've been under contract. One time it was a fridge, another time it was like the glass to the oven door, whatever it may be. But if you get a home warranty that covers this, it will cover you for an extended period of time, but it will also cover the seller while they're in escrow. So they don't have to be concerned that all this stuff is gonna break and potentially cause the deal to fall through because they're gonna have that home warranty protecting them. Watch this video next if you wanna know how to hire and fire an agent.